Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello and welcome to ForumIAS. These are all the articles that we are going to discuss today with the approaching mains. We'll also see one mains article in our discussion. Now let us move on to the first article. It talks about archaeologists finding Mesolithic era rock painting in Andhra Pradesh's Guntur. So here you can see the painting. So this is the image of a man who is plowing a field. Okay, we'll see more about the news. So a person tilling a piece of land, that Mesolithic painting has been discovered, and it was found in Orvakallu village in Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh. So Mesolithic age means what? It is roughly around 5000 BC. So in the timeline of history, we have Old Stone Age, which is the Paleolithic period. And then we have the Middle Stone Age. Which is the Mesolithic period. And then we have the New Stone Age, which is the Neolithic period. Okay, so this is the sort of understanding we need. That's enough. So if we have to map this painting, historically it can be mapped to 5000 BC. And what materials were used? Natural white kaolin and red ochre pigments were used. So what are these? What does it mean when we say kaolin or ochre? Ochre is a pigment that is composed of clay, sand and ferric oxide. So this ferric oxide, it gives the red color. Ochre color, it is nothing but rust color. Okay, so ochre is composed of clay, sand and ferric oxide. Then we have kaolinite. It is a soft, earthy, usually white mineral produced by the chemical weathering of aluminium silicate minerals like feldspar. So this much of depth is not needed. You need not remember what is kaolinite. It is a geology syllabus. Just remember that this particular painting was made of materials like ochre, kaolinite, etc. Simply speaking, kaolinite is a type of clay. Okay, and there were other paintings also. One of the other painting, it depicted a man catching a wild goat with his left hand while wielding a hook-like implement to control it. Another showed two couples standing with their hands raised while a child stood behind them. So if we have found a man tilling, then a crude form of agriculture, settled agriculture must have begun in this time. So actually agriculture solidified during the Neolithic period, that is this period. So if we found a man tilling, we found it for Mesolithic era, maybe they started out with settled agriculture. That's what it indicates. Okay, so that's it for this article. We'll move to the next article. Next article talks about refugees. This comes in the context of today, the June 20th, being the World Refugee Day. World Refugee Day. So that is why this has come in news. And UNHCR Chief for India and Maldives, Oscar Mundia, he is the person who has written this article. So it comes from a reputed place. We'll go to the article. So who are these refugees? I already mentioned that today is World Refugee Day. There won't be a question in UPSC Prelims saying June 20th is celebrated as. It won't come. But we have to understand this from a mains perspective. First of all, what is the definition? Here we have the definition of what it means to be a refugee. Individuals who have endured forced displacement due to conflicts and unrest worldwide. So every year we see Indians going to US, UK for better life. That is not refuge. That is not forced displacement. They are going out of choice. But a Rohingya coming from Myanmar to India, it is forced displacement because this person is facing persecution in Myanmar. Okay, so that is the difference. So we have a lot of ongoing global conflicts like war in Ukraine, Myanmar, Sudan, and then protracted situations, which means this difficult situation has been going on for some years now. In Afghanistan, in Somalia, these are the countries which are in some kind of crisis, and it leads to forced displacement of people living in these places. Okay, so because see, here we have Myanmar, here we have Afghanistan. So these countries, they are our neighbors. So obviously the crisis will spill over to India. Right? Many individuals are uprooted, and as a result, because India's neighborhood itself is facing a lot of problems, India is home to 250,000 forcibly displaced persons. And out of this 250,000, women and children constitute half of that population. And India, being a gracious host, India is hosting these many refugees and asylum seekers. Asylum seekers, they are coming to India for political reason. Say for example, we have Dalai Lama. So like that, we have Edward Snowden, who is in asylum in some other country. We have Julian Assange, who is in asylum in some other country. These are all political in nature. When an individual comes for asylum because they are being searched for some reason, that is called as asylum. Alright, so India continues to host refugees, asylum seekers. So that shows the level of humanity in India. All sorts of refugees, right from Sri Lankan refugees, Rohingyas from Myanmar, Afghanistan people, Hindus from Pakistan, all these people are being hosted by India. Okay, so how do we handle this? How do we handle our resource crunch? As such, India is a humongous country with a huge population. So we have so much competition for resources. Over and top of that, we have refugees also. So in this context, how do we deal with refugees? What should be our general approach towards refugees? So the author of this article says that the refugees, they want opportunities and they don't want handouts. They don't want free dolouts of money. They want opportunity so that they can also meaningfully contribute to the host nation. So it is not a matter of talent. Many of them might be very talented. It is a matter of prospects. Are they getting enough opportunities to realize their potential? Right? We already said they want opportunities and not handouts. They want to be self-reliant and they are eager to use their talents and passions to contribute to the communities hosting them. Ultimately, if they are becoming a productive individual, then ultimately India will be benefited. That is what the author of this article is saying. So, in order to bring effect to this suggestion, there are some barriers. We have to dismantle those barriers. Firstly, Refugees and asylum seekers, they encounter a myriad of obstacles. That means they are encountering a number of obstacles. First thing is legal recognition. Are they getting legal recognition? They have challenges in obtaining government issued documents. So only if they have documents, only then they can have access to essential services like financial support, healthcare, etc. So these are all procedural bottlenecks, basic things like government issued documents. Even we as citizens, we have some documents, and by virtue of them we are getting some essential services. Similarly, these refugees, they also have to register with the government. They will also have a certificate of registration which they can produce to lead a meaningful life, to get some productive employment. So as a community, as a global community, we have to dismantle these barriers, and these people should be afforded equal opportunities in employment, education, housing, healthcare. So we should ensure that no one is left behind. Then only we can achieve the sustainable development agenda. These are all espoused by the author of this article. So in this context, we have the Global Compact on Refugees, which is backed by UN. So it is basically a framework. It is a framework to deal with the refugee problem, and it calls for equitable responsibility sharing, because the Global South, that is the developing countries, they are the maximum holder of refugees. So what happens is, crises, they also happen in Global South, and refugees are also coming to their neighboring Global South countries, right? So because of this, the Global South is disproportionately affected, and as a result, we need to have a framework for equitable responsibility sharing. Already the countries in the Global South are facing resource crunch. That's what I was also telling when I started out with this article. India already has a resource crunch. Over and top of that, we have refugees. So in this context, this equitable responsibility sharing becomes important. So this Global Compact, it is an official framework, and it also acknowledges the scale of the problem. So there needs to be solidarity in dealing with this. Not one country should be made to lift all the burden. And this understanding, building this kind of an ecosystem, building this kind of a solidarity is not limited to governments. It is incumbent on individuals, private sector. So for example, if a refugee wants a job, the private sector must have some enabling provisions to accommodate this person. Non-government organizations, community-based organizations, it is the responsibility, it is the collective responsibility of all these entities, right? So this Global Compact, it strives to enhance the international response, support the host countries in case they are facing a lot of unilateral burden, promote self-reliance among the refugees, explore long-term solutions like resettlement and safe returns. So these refugees, they cannot be continuing to live in a host country. That is burden on the host country also, and it is traumatic for the refugee also. Ultimately, the refugee should get resettlement. All of this is being facilitated, and a framework is given by Global Compact on Refugees. Okay, so this article overall talks about the refugee situation and what is the official mechanism available for tackling this situation. Okay, now let's move on to the next article. Next article, it talks about phonons. So this particular article, whenever we see an article in the science section from the Hindu, quite a bit it is given in depth. That much of nitpicking or hair splittery is not required for UPSC. You have to understand what it is trying to say so that you can intelligently approach a paper. Okay, so I will teach whatever is relevant from this giant article. Okay, so let's move on. First of all, in order to understand that article, we have to understand what are qubits. So we know we have computers, we use computers every day, even our mobile phone is a computer. Likewise, we have powerful computers called as quantum computers, and they have qubits. In a normal computer, data or information is stored in the form of bits. And in quantum computers, the basic unit of information is this qubit. So what is this qubit exactly? In computers, we can see that there will be a chip. It has number of transistors, diodes, etc. and some way the information is stored digitally. But what are these qubits? A qubit can be anything. A qubit can be an electron, it can be a collection of particles, it can be a quantum system engineered to behave like a particle, it can be anything. But for simplicity's sake, we are understanding that a qubit in our case is an electron. Okay, so a bit, it can be, so one bit can store 0 at one time, or it can store 1. It cannot store both at the same time, but qubit, it can store 1 or 0 at the same time. That is, 1 means on and 1 means on and 0 means off. So each qubit can have the values on and off at the same time. So what happens is, in a quantum computing system, information can be encoded in some property of particle like electrons spin. So we know that in an atom we have electrons in the outer shells, and the electrons, they revolve around the nucleus. So let us say this is an atom, these are the shells, and the electrons revolve around the nucleus. Apart from that, the electron also has a spin, like we have planets that revolve around the sun and they rotate about its axis also. Similarly, an electron revolves around the nucleus and they rotate about its axis also. That is called as spin of an electron. Okay, so what happens is, an electron can spin clockwise or it can spin anti-clockwise, right? So in this way, this spin is used to code for 1 or 0. Okay, so at a time it can have on value or off value. That is why it can perform, this quantum computer can perform complicated calculations that are out of reach for best supercomputers of today. That means these quantum computers are much efficient than supercomputers. Supercomputers still use bits. Quantum computers use qubits. Okay, in this quantum computing, if we have to increase one level up, we have linear optical quantum computing. So in the previous example, we saw that an electron is being used as a qubit. In this linear optical quantum computing, LOQC, here photons, that is the particles of light, they are used as qubits. Okay, so this linear optical quantum computing, it uses optical equipment like mirror, lenses, splitters, wave plates with photons to process information. Like a traditional quantum computer uses electrons, optical quantum computing uses what? Photons. Okay, now we understood what is photon. Photon is a packet of light, but this article doesn't talk about photon, it talks about phonon. What is a phonon? We will see. Phone, phonetic, phone means what? It is related to sound. It is related to sound. So let us see here. Photons are packets of light energy. Phonons are packets of vibrational energy. We can derive that from the name itself. As we already said, phone is a root word for sound. And how is sound produced? Sound is produced through vibrations. When our voice box vibrates, then we are able to speak, right? So, phonons are packets of vibrational energy. So, we have seen that quantum computer is built on the basis of electron. We have seen that it is built on the basis of photon. Can we similarly use an information unit to be sound? Can we use sound as a basic unit? So basically what happens? Qubit can be a particle, right? So in that the on and off message is encoded. Similarly, can we use sound to encode 0 or 1? That is what it means when we try to use phonons in supercomputing. Sorry, that is what happens when we try to use phonons in quantum computing. Can we use sound to encode for 0 or 1? That is what is phonon based quantum computing. So how to use this? So for electrons, to manipulate electrons, in order to encode the value of 0 or 1 in electrons, we have this electron can be manipulated using electric current, magnetic field, etc. Similarly, the photon can be manipulated with mirrors, lenses, etc. Similarly, we have to have a way to manipulate phonons. So, scientists have recently developed an acoustic beam splitter. So, let's say this is a sound wave, okay, and it hits the acoustic beam splitter. So, acoustic because this is a sound wave and this is a beam splitter. So, it will split the same wave into two. So, in this way, we can manipulate the phonon. This is in a nascent stage. So, MCQ can be asked in one of the sentence. Even sound can be used to store information in quantum computing. Yes, there is a possibility. So, this is the utility of the article that we discussed. Okay, so if you don't understand also, just understand in quantum computing, can we use sound to store the value 0 or 1? That is what is being discussed in this article. Okay, next, India gives INS Kirpan to Vietnam and it focuses on enhancing defense relations. We have here INS Kirpan. What is INS Kirpan? We will see. So, INS Kirpan is a missile corvette. Corvette is a type of ship. INS Kirpan has been gifted to Vietnam. Also, India and Vietnam have decided to enhance existing areas of collaboration, especially in the defense industry cooperation, maritime security, multinational cooperation, etc. So, India and Vietnam are coming together in terms of defense cooperation. This has been there for a long time. India and Vietnam have been getting close on the defense front from quite a few years. Okay, so INS Kirpan is a Kukri class missile corvette. It can displace 1350 tons of water and it was commissioned into the Indian Navy on January 12, 1991. This ship has a medium range gun, 30 mm close range guns, shaft launchers and surface to surface missiles. So already India and Vietnam, they had signed a MOU for mutual logistic support. Logistic support means, say for example, Vietnamese defense ship is sailing through Indian Ocean and they want some kind of repairs to be done. They can approach a naval base of India to get it done. Say for example, an Indian ship is going to the South China Sea, say for patrolling. They can approach Vietnam if they require any repairs or refill or something. So that is what it means to have a mutual logistics support. Okay, so we can see that India and Vietnam, firstly India has gifted a ship. Secondly, they want to increase the defense industry collaboration. And thirdly, we have the mutual logistics support agreement in place with Vietnam. India also has mutual logistics support agreement with US. What are the other countries with whom India has mutual logistics support? Comment. Okay. Next article. In this article, our Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, she has called for efforts to push farmers to cultivate millets. So NABARD, which is the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, they take care of rural financing and agricultural financing. So in a review meeting of NABARD, she has insisted on this. So she says there needs to be concerted efforts to sensitize farmers to shift towards more remunerative but less water guzzling crops like millets, pulses, oil seeds, and also to enhance the digital capabilities of rural financial institutions. So millets are very economic to cultivate also. And she also has said that first of all, millets are less water guzzling. They don't consume a lot of water. So millets are very much suitable for arid and semi-arid regions, where especially there is a lack of irrigation facility. Millets, pulses, oil seeds are much more suitable than water guzzling crops like sugarcane, rice, etc. So the FM has said that with production and marketing of Shri Anna. What is Shri Anna? In budget also this has been mentioned. Shri Anna. Shri Anna means millets. They are called such because of their nutritional density. Okay. So already we have ongoing the International Year of Millets. So the Finance Minister has directed NABARD to encourage the farmers to enhance the area covered under millets. One more information. Who has declared the International Year of Millets? We know that 2023 is the International Year for Millets. Who has declared it? FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. They have declared the International Year of Millets. So about millet, we can see some of the common millets that are available in India are ragi, jowar, sama, bajra, variga, etc. So the earliest evidence of millets has been from Indus Valley civilization, and these millets, they are grown in about 131 countries, and it is the traditional food for many people, almost 60 crore people in Asia and Africa. India is the largest producer of millet in the world, and moreover the economic survey says that India is also the second largest exporter of millets, that is Shri Anna. So India accounts for almost 20% of global production and 80% of Asia's production. So these are all the articles for today. We'll go to the previous year questions. So this question, it says that Aadhaar card can be used as a proof of citizenship or domicile. This is wrong. This is mentioned in the Aadhaar card itself that Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship. Once issued, Aadhaar number cannot be deactivated or omitted by the issuing authority. This is also wrong because the issuing authority, that is the UIDAI can deactivate or omit an Aadhaar number. So the question is asking for which of the above is or are correct. Neither of them are correct. So the answer is D. Next question. Rule of Law Index is released by which of the following? A. Amnesty International. B. International Court of Justice. C. The Office of UN Commissioner for Human Rights. D. World Justice Project. Answer is D. World Justice Project. It is a very factual question, so we need not go into much depth. Next question. Which one of the following links all the ATMs in India? A. Indian Banks Association. B. National Securities Depository Limited, that is the NSDL. C. National Payments Corporation of India, that is the NPCI. D. The Reserve Bank of India, that is the RBI. So answer is C. Why? Because there is something called as National Financial Switch, NFS. So this NFS is the software for ATMs. Okay. So this NFS, this software, it connects all the ATMs, and this NFS was developed by NPCI. So the answer is C. Okay, so that's it for today's discussion. Follow us on all the social media platforms. Thank you. All the best. This is Indumati signing off.